It's extremely difficult to go through life alone and not have a girl by your side and carrying all this emotional weight and feeling depressed, feeling stressed. You can have a test or an exam tomorrow. You could have a job interview tomorrow if you're lucky enough to get a job interview, quote unquote lucky. And you can have many things in life going on. But what takes prioritization is whether or not you have love in your life. That's always something that's always occupying the back of your mind. That's always occupying the back of your heart. It's always there. And even if you try to ignore it, you try to gym max, bro, you try to do these other type of activities and try to quote unquote work on yourself. But how can you work on yourself when the fundamental and essential thing that can help build your confidence is something that you're being denied, and you're being denied it for nefarious reasons? It's no accident that you're alone. It's no accident that you've never had a girlfriend in your life or never been on a date or probably never got fellatio with a high ratio or never hit it from the back and make that nanny smack. There's a reason that's happening. And the reason is that there's something that is targeting you. It's not random. It's not an accident. People like to believe the stars and the moon and the sun it was just made by science. It was just magically placed there. So you want me to believe that the sun and the moon is just magically placed there? There was no intelligent being that, or quote unquote, when I mean intelligent, I mean foolish, but no quote unquote intelligent being that put the moon and the sun there, and they put the sun just right there so it wouldn't burn us, but it put us also far away where it can provide the heat and the moon and all this. And you're telling me it was just random? No, this ain't random. There's a thing called the demiurge, and this being makes sure to feed off real souls. The reason why you're going through it, the reason why you're catching hell, the reason why you don't have a woman in your life, the reason why you're poor, the reason why every time you work every single day and every time you get your paycheck, you're broke the same day. I think it was Eminem in that old song where he said, I'm tired of being fired and hired the same day. That's that classic Eminem, And a lot of us, we live through hell. We've been through a battlefield. We've been through a war, and we got to carry on. And there's nobody that really gives a dang about us like that, right? When you're somebody that's been isolated for such a long time and you never had a woman or never had no real love, that affects every aspect of your life. Don't let nobody tell you different, because you see men that get women regularly and you see how far they are in life. Usually they're more confident than you. Usually they have more things than you. I say usually because sometimes you can have men that get a lot of girls, but they're not really considered a loser because of their aesthetics, because of their attractiveness. They may not have a job. They may not even have a car, but they look the part. They look the part, to be a millionaire. They got that millionaire face. They got the millionaire taste. They got the millionaire everything. Meanwhile, people like us, we have to sit in the dark for years, man. We have to sit in the dark inside rooms, dirty rooms, because we're mentally ill. So we may not clean our rooms right because our mind is so fucked up, and it's very difficult to try to focus, man. You can't focus if you don't have a girl in your life. Look at us, man. Look at us. Aren't our lives evidence enough of what happens when you don't have a girl in your life? Or what happens when you don't have that special someone, that cares about you, that wants the world for you, that wants you to be happy? A lot of us are in this position where life has really cornered us. Life has really destroyed any confidence, any belief in ourselves. How am I supposed to accomplish my dreams when I can't even get a woman on my team? It's very important for a man to have love and self-validation, of course. Like, you got to love yourself and you got to believe in yourself. That's fine. You can do that until the cows come home. But the real truth is that having female validation, verification, and authentication, this is something that's very important. Having a woman in your life is crucial to a man's emotional, spiritual, and mental, and even economic development. Because if you're somebody that has a woman to look forward to come home to, that has a beautiful smile and a warm hug and a girl that's going to give you love, that's going to give you the motivation to live. That's literally life fuel. That's fuel for your life to accelerate to new heights. I actually rhyme. That's fuel for your life to accelerate to new heights. Huh, interesting. But yeah, that's fuel for your life. And a lot of us, we have no fuel left in our spaceship, and we crash landed into some godforsaken moon, and we're trapped with all types of animals and creatures and just scary things, and we have to fight through all that and try to achieve. You see, normies, they like to say that, oh, you guys are lazy, you guys don't want to work a job, you guys don't want to do. It's like we're depleted from any type of energy that's positive. But yet the demiurge and these evil beings, they like to keep on looshing us. They like to keep us in negative energetic vibrational frequencies. This God or whatever you want to call it, there's something, and I'm convinced because I've been going through this for years. Like I didn't just it's the demiurge yesterday. It's like, bro, I've had years of dealing with this type of being, this entity, decades. I go back to when I was a child, right? To when this one girl lied. Her name. I don't care. Her name was Amari Richardson. I don't care. That's her name. F her. She said that. He said the F word, and it was a lie, and everybody else in class knew it was a lie. But then the teacher pretty much suspended me. And back in those days, there was like a card. It was like a color-coded card system, and the lowest card you can get is the black card. And the black card means that once you pull it, you go to suspension, and you're suspended from the class for a couple of days, right? So and my card was like blue. Like I think blue was like what meant like you're good, and then green is like okay. And then once you pull your card to yellow, it's when you start getting kind of in trouble. Like people like when you ever get in trouble with the teacher, she'll tell you, okay, go pull your card, and you got to go pull your card. It was like these pieces of like almost like just like paper, like thick paper, and it was just different color codes, and you had your name right there. I had to pull my card and get sent to suspension, and that teacher knew, and I never had any trouble in that class before that girl lied. She was a black girl, and I mean, she had two older brothers, or three older brothers, and that showed me right then in life that it wasn't fair. So it started for me early when I was being loosed and attacked. I remember getting kicked out of class by Miss Dorsey. I remember her lying and say, "Oh, game doesn't mean wild deer." And she just got through teaching us that game, GAME means wild deer from like Native Americans, and back in the days when they said, "Oh, we gotta hunt this wild game." I remember she told us that, because I didn't know that as a kid, and she taught us that. And then when she's reading my paper, she's like, "What is this? What is this? What is this?" I was like, game. What does that mean? What does that mean? I said, game means wild deer. You just taught us that. I didn't teach you none of that. She took my paper, folded up, and then threw it on the floor and said, you're going to do your hair. You're going to do another one. And you're going to do it from scratch, and have me write the essay, because every month we have to write an essay in that class. And I noticed that, and I'm a prolific writer, so I'm like, how the hell, So she was targeting me, but she had, it wasn't just from me. She was doing this to, like, this is real shit. She wasn't just targeting me. She was doing it to other people that look like me, and there was a history of this, And eventually a lawsuit came upon her, and then the school kind of told her to kind of calm it down, right? You know. So I've been through a lot. I remember even my football, Coach Mack. I remember. I had sprung my ankle in practice, and they still made me practice on it. And I remember going to the doctor, and the doctor said, "Nah, you got to stay off this for at least a couple of weeks, put it in ice, so you can't go to football practice." So I go to my football coach, say, "Hey, Coach Mack, I got a note." He looked at me, he grabbed the note and said, "I don't accept notes," ripped it up in front of my face and threw it in the trash. That's a real story. It's things like that make you go insane. How can a football coach do that to you? Mistreat me? Then other people on the team, they were able to bring little notes in from doctors, and they didn't they weren't forced to practice. I was forced to practice on that. I remember Coach Riley was like, he said my last name and said, be strong or whatever, right? And but in a mocking way, right? And I was limping, and to this day, my ankle has, so little complications here and there, right? Because of that football practice, or that football coach, and the practice, right? And I think about things like that, like how come, and like when you're a teenager, you don't want to be like, oh, mom, the coach said I have to practice on it anyway. Like, you can't do that. You just have to just go through it because you got friends on the football team. You can't look weak. People start talking about you. So I had to practice on that to play games with that sprained ankle, you know, until eventually I sprung it so bad that I couldn't even walk. And then that's when the coach was like, he's like, oh, I didn't know it was that serious because you didn't say anything. Because he smelled the lawsuit. Because I remember after this one game, my ankle was throbbing, it was swollen, and this one lady was like, "Oh my God!" She's like, "Oh my God, your ankle's so swollen. What happened?" I sprained. So you sprained it during the games? Like, no, it's been sprained for a while. I've been practicing on the practice. Like, she's like, "Why would a coach let you practice on a sprained ankle?" She sounded concerned. She's like, "My sister's a nurse. I can have her check it out for you if you want." That's when the main coach heard it and came kind of like went over there. Oh, what's going on? She's like, "Did you have this boy practice, with a sprained ankle and play through?" No, I didn't know it was no sprained ankle. You see, like, I mean, so this is what I'm talking about, bro. Like, evil people never take accountability. And a lot of people in our life, they do that to us. They'll screw us over. They'll laugh at us. Hell, they'll try to actively make sure we don't get girls in our life. And then they wonder why we're in this situation. They wonder why we're in this position. They wonder why that we can never get, into economic stabilization. You got people in your family that despise you, but they're watching every single thing that you do to try to gain information about you. But it's like, go ahead and gain your information. I'll never speak to you again in life. You're nothing to me, and you're nothing yourself. You're mad because you're insecure about your sexuality. You're insecure about your reality, and you're insecure about your economic foundation and solidification. Your best friend is a part of the Rainbow Coalition, and they work a job as a janitor at a hospital, and they're in their mid-40s. They want to talk about me. Somebody that's talented, somebody that's articulate, somebody that has an audience on YouTube, somebody that's going places in life if this life treats them right. And you want to try to talk about me? You want to try to focus on me? You're focusing on me because I'm great. You know that I'm not like anybody else you have ever discovered. That's why you're hyper fixated on me. You have never discovered somebody like me who actually has real talent, who you hear in his raps like, damn, this guy's actually good. He's not just talking out of his ass. He really rapped for real, and I'm not even half as good as I was when I was younger. Not even half. And then you have to deal with the accumulation and retention of negative energetic manifestation and frequency of not having a woman in your life. It leads to you doing all types of weird things, right? Your family will be the end of a lot of us, right? So when you have jealous family members like that are insecure, they haven't dealt with their own sexuality. They have all types of other insecurities, but they're following, watching every single video you make. They're following, they're watching, they're listening, they're gathering new information as if you're some type of superstar. You know the reason why I never messed with you in real life? Because I knew you were an evil traitor. You can't stay on nobody's side, not even your own. You talk about me, but you didn't have enough money to bury your own mama. Now what? And you ask my mom for money when I don't even have a place to motherfucking live. And you kick me out. And then you had the nerve to kick me out, make just staying with you, try to make it as miserable as possible for me. You kicked me out. You bitched and complained when I didn't do nothing to bother you. I was respectful and courteous, and you still attacked me. And you go to church every Sunday acting like you love God. You don't love no God. You love Satan. That's who you love. The real God's not even the Christian God you worship in that damn Bible anyway. The real God's the monad from the pleroma. You understand that? You probably know what I'm talking about because your Christian pastor never taught you that. Your Christian pastor just want your money. That's why you got to pay your tithes. Or you got to pay tithes to church. Really? How come God can't just teleport money to the church? Sock lost the blind one, that's why. I'm sick of this world. All these years of isolation, all these years of not having a woman, all these years of not having constant sex. It has destroyed me. It has destroyed many of us for not having women in our lives. Not having that cute girl. Not having the correlation of orientation. Not having the girl right in your fixation, not having the girl right inside of your situation or inside your substation, not having that girl inside it, in the bed with you. How many of us knows the feeling of waking up to a girl that's naked, and we're naked as well? And last night we did some adult things, and we tore it up. We tore it up to the flow up. Yeah. How many of us experienced that? Smoked some Mary Jane to the brain, went to sleep, woke up, and there was a beautiful girl lying right next to us. You know, we get up out of bed to, you know, whatever. And you see a girl right there peacefully sleeping. You smell her beautiful hair, as you're getting up, and it's like, wow. You give her a little kiss on the cheek and a slap on that little rump. It's a light little slap on that rump, right? And you feel like a man. You feel like a man. You feel strong. You feel like you're in a position of power, wealth, and influence. How many of us can say that we've actually had a good life up to this point? How many of us can say that we actually really lived life? But how can you live life when you never had a wife and you never had a woman, right? And some of us will never have children. We'll never have kids. And people, why would you want to bring kids into an evil, sadistic, wicked world? You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. You're right. But I will say this. I know one associate I used to know a long time ago, and he was lucky enough to find his girl, when we were still teenagers pretty much, and he'd been with her since. And they got 4 kids now. They just had I think they got like a 3-month-old now. They just had a kid in 2026, and this person is very happy, This person also had a rich grandfather that helped them, that paid for their wedding, and he can go to his and this person was a NEET. That's the thing about it. Like this associate, or ex-friend you want to say, but I just say associate. He was always a NEET. He was a NEET before I even understood what a NEET was, right? And he was able to keep a girlfriend and have multiple girlfriends, get caught cheating, all that. And she still stayed with him. She still held him down, right? And he has kids, and I see how in his eyes, he looks really genuinely happy, right? But then in the back of my head, I'm thinking, all it takes is for that woman to want to leave, and she can take half of your stuff with you. It doesn't matter how long she's been with you. If she finds anybody better, she'll probably leave you and the kids and go with Chad, and it can be over just like that, with a snap of the finger. The pain that we have in this world is enough to drive us to the verge of insanity. We face calamity, we face wars and battles all alone. And it's absolutely horrible, it's absolutely horrendous that we have to go through these things, but it's what we have to go through as men in this position. I truly hope all of us can get out this freaking hell. I'm tired of seeing beautiful women and not being able to have them. I'm tired of seeing women and not being able to connect with them. When I see a beautiful woman, I'm like, why can't you choose me? Why can't you love me? Why can't you just let me hit it from the back and make that nanny smack, girl? I tell you, you'll love it. I put some loving on you, baby, being for real, yeah.